Good morning and welcome to this InnoMatch webinar on how to identify and select a good unmet need. This webinar is part of a series called Buyers Capacity Building, where we discuss cross-cutting aspects in the innovation procurement journey by sharing examples and best practices. My name is Elena López. I'll be hosting the session today on behalf of the InnoMatch Consortium. So please welcome to the session. Here's the agenda that we have for today. So first of all, I will start with a brief overview of the EIC Innovation Procurement Program. That is the larger framework in which InnoMatch is embedded. Then we will have a buyer fireside chat. We have a special guest, Claire Cummings from the Irish government, Department of Public Expenditure, who will tell us a bit more about their experience participating in the EIC Innovation Procurement Program. She will be interviewed by Jorge González from Ticbiomed. Then we will also have Cristina Roca from ICLEI, who will present the InnoMatch Open Call for Buyers that we hope it's of interest for everybody. And finally, Jorge González from Ticbiomed will give some tips for unmet needs identification in order to create a good proposal for the InnoMatch Open Call for Buyers. In the end, we will have some Q&A with all of you. So I encourage you to post your questions in advance so that we can go through them at the end. Before we start, a few housekeeping rules. The session is being recorded and it will be made available in the InnoMatch channels. All participants must be muted, but you can post your questions, as I was saying, in the Q&A box that you can see in the Zoom settings. And without further ado, I would like to start with the first topic of the agenda, the EIC Innovation Procurement Program. Before that, a brief overview of InnoMatch. So InnoMatch aims to de-risk innovation procurement by bringing buyers and suppliers of innovation to solve an innovation challenge posed by the buyer with a tailored solution by the suppliers who have to be EIC awardees. Together, they will enter a 12 months of testing and piloting, and the EIC will receive 60K. The benefits for the buyers is to be able to test an innovative solution before actually investing on it, before procuring it. And for the EIC awardees, it's an opportunity to work with a strategic customer to fine-tune their existing solution to the buyer's need, leveraging the 60K offered by InnoMatch. In addition, both buyers and EIC awardees will receive capacity building and expert support through the program to increase the chances that the buyer procures the solution at the end of the project, and that the EIC awardee commercialize the solution not only to the buyer within InnoMatch, but also to all the potential buyers serving that same need. And that's why we say we are de-risking innovation procurement. This program is powered by the EIC Innovation Procurement Program, where there are also other opportunities like a SPIN for EIC. A SPIN for EIC provides assistance to both buyers and EIC awardees. So for buyers, they offer pitching events of EIC companies who have solutions targeted to the buyer's need, and they also provide assistance to public procurers for a specific aspect of the innovation procurement journey, like needs identification, open market consultation, and drafting the tender documents. In addition, EIC awardees also get the opportunity to increase their skills on innovation procurement by participating in the academies. They also benefit from the pitching events to buyers. And finally, they also receive assistance to identify procurement opportunities matching their solutions. InnoMatch is in between, and what it does is to bring both the buyers and the EIC awardees to pilot the solution, as I was saying before. This is part of a larger strategy, the EIC Innovation Procurement Program. The AIC with this aims to establish the institution as a center of excellence on innovation procurement in order to bring new market opportunities to the EIC awardees so that they can scale up their business. So they have a comprehensive support when it comes to creating skills and knowledge for both buyers and EIC companies, bringing them contacts, especially contacts with buyers, and finally, reaching agreements between the EIC awardees and the procurers for their innovative solutions. So it's an ambitious goal, and there are a lot of opportunities that I invite you to check in the link at the bottom of the slide. Obviously, you will receive this presentation so that you can check it afterwards. So that's a little bit when it comes to the context, why we are here today. And now I would like to move on to the next topic in the agenda. I invite Claire and Jorge to join for the buyer fireside chat. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jorge González. I'm the director of Ticbiomed. We are part of the InnoMatch consortium, and we especially take care of that successful pilots will have a continuation, that they don't go to the valley of death. I'm here with Claire Cummings. We are going to have a chat about her experience with innovation procurement. So, Claire, first of all, thank you very much for joining, and I would like to introduce yourself.
Morning, everybody. My name is Claire Cummings, and I work for the Department of Public Expenditure, NDP Delivery and Reform in Ireland. My role is Innovation Team Lead, and I work within the Public Service Transformation Delivery Unit. So we are responsible for the implementation of strategies across all government departments for public service transformation.
Excellent. So why are you here? Why your organization decided to get into innovation procurement?
So our department, I suppose, decided centrally that we would trial innovation partnership procedure, a model that hadn't been used in Ireland before, although it had been around since 2014. So initially we had planned to establish a GovTech challenge and have an open call to the Irish Public Service for challenges which had no known available solution on the market. However, we had limited experience with innovation partnership procedure, and from both a procurement and a legal perspective, we thought it would probably be best to run a pilot project and to avail of the European assistance. So that was kind of where we started.
Right, and what was the pilot about?
So we were approached by a public service body for assistance and guidance because they had an issue, which was how to deliver customer service through the Irish language using AI. So they had begun to draft a roadmap for the Irish language capability in generative AI, and they were looking at a needs analysis of the Irish language community, and they didn't really know where to go next. So that's where they came to us, and we decided we would marry the challenge that they had with the IPP trial and contact the Spin for EIC team.
Right, and where are you now in the process?
So at the moment, I suppose we have done open market consultation with the Spin for EIC team. So they really supported us through that. And we also did a state-of-the-art analysis as well, again, heavily supported by the Spin for EIC team. So we are just about to move into the RFT development stage. And so that will run from now until around middle of June. And then we plan to publish our RFT. But again, we've availed of the Spin for EIC team at each stage of the process, which is great because I suppose when we initially engaged with them, we thought we could only engage with them once. And then they explained that at each stage, you can reapply and be awarded more hours and more support. So that was really good for us. And I suppose we wouldn't be where we are now without them.
Right. So after being so brave, after this kind of projects, which are new for almost everybody, what are your learnings? What are your also learnings and then recommendations?
I would say our main learning is not to pick an innovation procurement model before you know the challenge. I suppose initially we had set out to trial IPP, but trying to retrofit a challenge into a procurement model was, I suppose, one of the hardest pieces we had. Our learning is definitely avail of all the services and supports that are there, especially given that we had no experience of IPP in Ireland at all. Even just looking at, there are a number of webinars that you can look at that are available on the Spin for EIC team, and that just gave us a broader understanding of, I suppose, where our needs, where our gaps in learning were. So we knew the questions then to ask. So I would say definitely go look at the website, watch the webinars, and then engage with the team. Recommendations, I would say 100% don't try and do things on your own. Get the support, because just things, I suppose, that we thought were really, we know what we're doing here, we didn't. So it was always good to be able to sense check with the Spin for EIC team, and they were really available to us. And yeah, definitely even just to proofread documents and just give us a steer on small little things. It's making our journey a lot easier.
Right. Before I forget, please,
Yeah.
if you are interested, the attendees, put your questions. There is on the bottom, if you mouse over, there will be a questions and answers. Please type your questions for Claire or any time, so we will be able to address them at the end of the webinar. Claire, I'm curious about drafting the challenge, the unmet needs. How was that process?
The state-of-the-art analysis?
No, more that trying to figure out what you really want, okay? Because there can be, in the minds of different people, it can be different things at the same time.
Yeah, I suppose the public service body who contacted us are responsible for, they're the state agency who are responsible for the Irish language. And so they had identified a gap in AI and in customer service in general in Ireland. So there are a lot of cultural differences depending on which part of Ireland you go to. So we knew that just a standard off-the-shelf AI solution wasn't going to work. So that was really, they came to us with, they had done a lot of the legwork in terms of identifying the problem, and just were looking for, where do we go next, or how do we progress this along?
Right. I think that what you just said is very important. In our experience also to get a clear understanding of the need. We are going to talk about that later, but to have a clear understanding, that's very, very important, because otherwise different people, again, they have different thoughts, and then there can be tensions then on where to move. But if there is an agreement within the team, what you guys, what they want to investigate, to procure, to incorporate, that's very good. So Claire, well, you mentioned a little bit what are your next steps, but you have a kind of calendar or step-by-step process that you are going to follow from now on?
We're still developing it. We have been looking at the EFIP model, which was provided to us by the Spin for EIC team. So it's the EAFIP methodology, and it's step-by-step, I suppose, how to get through an IPP, Innovation Partnership Procedure. So, and it does really focus on needs assessment and prioritization first. So that was really good for us. I suppose a lot of us jumped straight to solutions and, without fully understanding the needs. So it was good to take the time and stop and do that. I suppose we will just be expanding on that methodology and just putting our steps underneath it for use cases here in Ireland. That'll be our next step now.
Okay. There's a comment by Marcin stating, it's not a question, rather a comment, but is agreeing with you that the support, external support, is really necessary and valuable. I wanted to say, and I'm taking the opportunity for that, doing some kind of shameless publicity, is that, well, maybe not for this project, because also what I think, from what I understand from the scope of your project, is a very ambitious project, but InnoMatch has funding for those interested into getting into this kind of approach, demand-driven co-creation approach, for a small project, say 60,000 euros, which is not too much, it's not a lot, but still you can get a flavor of the new concept that is demand-driven and co-creation, with a lot of support from InnoMatch and also from Spin for EIC. So I will encourage other buyers, public administration, private and corporates to follow Claire's example and to ask for support. Here, we also offer some money. So Claire, we also invite you to think about InnoMatch for that. Yeah, again, thank you very much for your contribution. Really, lots of luck. I will encourage when you are successful, because I believe without the support you are successful, that you also share the good news and you share the best practices, because this community is growing, but still needs a lot of best practices and know-how, etc. So congratulations for the work, and please let us know your success.
Thanks a million.
Excellent.
Thank you both. Thank you for the insightful conversation. Again, I encourage attendees to leave questions in the Q&A box for Claire that we can address at the end. And now let's continue with the next topic in the agenda, that is the overview of the open call for buyers. Cristina Roca from ICLEI will introduce the topic. I leave you the floor, Cristina.
Yes, many thanks, Elena, for this really complete introduction, and of course to Jorge and Claire for the interesting conversation on the experience of the Irish government on its identification assistance. A really quick introduction. My name is Cristina Roca. I work as a sustainable and innovation procurement expert in ICLEI Europe, which is part of the consortium implementing InnoMatch. What we will introduce right now, as Jorge was saying, is basically a similar opportunity for public and private buyers to experience innovation, but in this case, a small scale, or what we call pilot deployments or proof of concept demonstrations. In the case of InnoMatch, this is regulated or based in the specific framework that, in fact, we have seen in the previous webinar of this series. So if I can, I will go to the next slide. Yes. So as some of you here may know, InnoMatch has two different types of call. One where buyers and companies can apply together, and the one that we're going to focus in today, the individual call for public and private buyers. In this one, no link or joint applications with a company is needed, but in case there are buyers in the room that are already have links with an EIC ORD or that are interested in doing so, they can register for this specific webinar that is happening the 6th of March, and that I can liaise my colleagues already see that they are sharing in the chat. So what we're going to see more in detail right now is this specific framework to participate in the open call for public and private buyers. An individual call based on unmet needs that they have detected within their organization and that they would like to solve free of charge, basically, and with mentorship from the InnoMatch consortium. Here we have, let's see, yes, the key information of the open call. As you can see on the screen, buyers will have until the 8th of May at 5 p.m. to submit their unmet needs. And to whom is this open call addressed to? This open call is destined for public and private buyers. The definition of this can be further consulted in the guidelines, but in general, we can say that we consider private buyers those organizations that are privately owned and constituted either for profit or non-profit. This can be, of course, either SMEs or large corporations. When it comes to public buyers, we consider those covered by the Article 2 of the directives on public procurement, which are contracting authorities such as national, regional, local governments as well. And for example, we could also consider bodies governed by public law. How many applicants will be awarded? A total of 5 unmet needs will be selected, each of them for different sectors that we will see in a second. And the total financial support, as Jorge previously mentioned, for each of these pilots is 60,000 per pilot. This will be fully granted to the company who will be solving your unmet need. So all the costs will be covered, and in addition, you will have or guidance from the InnoMatch consortium. These are the 5 thematic areas that I mentioned right now, or sectors that will be included or that will be selected. As you can see, we aim to include as many sectors as different as possible, and I think buyers on the room can easily relate to at least one of them. These are first one, agriculture, food and beverages, then construction, infrastructure, manufacturing. Then we will go to more IT, digital transformation, and then we would also have energy, environment, mobility, and last but not least, health and life sciences. So who can apply? As mentioned, public and private buyers, applicants can find the specific definition of these 2 types in the guidelines, but here in the slide, we also provided some examples. You can see this covers public hospitals, municipalities, regional governments, and when it comes to private buyers, for example, big corporations or pharma companies. These buyers should be located either in a European Union member state or in a Horizon Europe associated country. The list can be found in the guidelines or in the link in the slides that we will share with the participants, or that I kindly ask my colleagues to also share in the chat. But it is important also to say that the submission can be conducted as an individual applicant or as a group of buyers. So this means that if a buyer, such as a hospital, for example, already knows that another organization has the same problem, they can also apply together. And in fact, group applications are highly encouraged. Of course, these applications include at least 2 buyers, a main applicant that will apply as a representative of the group, and then the rest of the buyers of the group that we call supporting buyers. A basic requirement that we would like to see to apply for this open call is a minimum commitment to the implementation of the pilot, of course, which is a 12-month process. And this can be proved through the letter of commitment signed by the main buyer in case of group applications, or by the single applicant in case of a single application. This will be submitted at application stage, and we will talk more about it in a second. Let's see. Okay, now. So the selection process that will be followed goes through these 3 phases that you see on the screen. First, we will conduct a basic eligibility check to discard possible applications that do not meet with the established criteria. And then eligible proposals will be evaluated by 2 external expert evaluators with relevant expertise in public procurement. They will also be bound by a confidentiality agreement and a non-conflict of interest declaration. And finally, after these 2 phases, the final ranking will be shared with the applicants based on the overall score. And in the event of a tie, these proposals with higher scores in commitment, as we were saying right now, that it's quite important, they will be the ones prioritized. The specific selection criteria, I don't want to go into much detail, but you can see them in the figure in the screen. As you can see, a high amount of these points will be allocated depending on the commitment of the buyer. This criteria is quite important for the development, as it not only assesses the team from the buyer that will be involved, but also the interest and the commitment from the top level management of this organization to adopt the solution in case it's successful. As said, as it is the most important criteria, there is the possibility to explain this further in the letter of commitment attached to the application of the buyer. The rest of the criteria, as you can see, 20% to each of them. They evaluate so to what extent the unmet need requires an innovative solution that is not available yet in the market, as well as how this proposal would fit in this 12-month process that we were mentioning, and also the impact that the solution could potentially achieve. So basically, benefits for citizens, benefits for the organization, as well as potential business opportunities. It is worth to say, although it's not mentioned in the slide, that one of these criteria, specifically commitment, also takes into account previous experiences from the buyer within the whole EIC Innovation Procurement Program. So this means that if, for example, a buyer has received assistance previously as part of the Spin for EIC program, for example, this will also be evaluated positively, of course, in the final ranking. So maybe another invitation here for Claire to apply after the Spin for EIC assistance. Then applications are now open, as I was saying, until the 8th of May. To get to know all the details, please read the guidelines for applicants, register for the F6S platform. It's really quick and easy. Fill the application form describing your unmet needs, the potential benefits that you consider it would have, and then attach a letter of commitment from your organization. The rest of the documents are also shared for transparency, but you don't have to worry about them right now, and we will work on them together in case your unmet need is selected. And maybe here a really quick overview of what happens if I'm selected, right? What is the estimated timeline? So after the closing of the open call, and again, only for applicants that are selected, this is the expected time frame. As you can see, from June until September, buyers will undergo this refinement process where the unmet needs will be defined into challenges. And in case that we detect also similar unmet needs, there's the possibility also that we create groups of buyers that they could potentially work together. From October until December, advanced challenge statements will be developed with the aim of preparing this more publishable challenge and more attractive for EIC awardees. Then this open call for companies will be launched in January 2026. And these final innovative solutions designed to solve the challenges will be selected between May and June. This means that the deployment of the pilot will start around June 2026, and it will potentially last until June 2027. So this was a really quick overview, but as mentioned before, this is further explained in the guidelines for applicants available in our website. We highly encourage you to apply, to submit your docs either in the discussion panel of the F6S platform or directly contacting us, and we will be happy, of course, to support you in the application process. There's also a QR code here in the screen where you can access the InnoMatch website directly. And besides that, of course, I will be answering all the questions that you may have at the end of this session. But for now, that was everything on my side.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Cristina, for this insightful presentation. I remind again the attendees to leave their questions in the Q&A box for Cristina, and we will address them at the end. And now let's move on to our final part of the agenda on the tips on how to identify good unmet needs for the InnoMatch Open Call. Jorge, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Let's see if it works to move across the slides. Why don't you? Okay. So again, we from Ticbiomed, we have some experience in helping. We call them, I mean, sometimes they are called buyers. We prefer to call them demanders of innovation. Basically, we help them to identify and to shape those challenges, those unmet needs, and convert them into opportunities. We also focus in the last year to help those promoters of innovation to cross the valley of death of pilots. What we have seen is that many of them finish successfully. but still there is no later adoption or uptake of the results, usually through a procurement, but there are other ways. So this is part of our role within InnoMatch, that we will make sure that, well, at least we will try to maximize chances that if the co-creation, the piloting with the EIC is successful, this has an impact into your organization. So moving forward into the content of my presentation, we are going to summarize some of the insights that we have collected during this time in what we call 8 clues. So the first one is the difference between need and solution. If you have to remember something, this is it, okay? Sometimes we get crazy saying, okay, we need a solution that combines artificial intelligence with 3D printing and Google Glasses, if they still exist. And that's a solution for a problem. For example, the example that we put here in the screen is that you want to hang a painting in the floor. You don't need a drill. Okay, the need is hanging a painting. The solution is you can use a drill to make a hole in the wall. You can use glue, fixo, whatever. There are a lot of different solutions. So don't fall in love with a particular solution because it's a shiny object and it's the latest technology on the wall, and then you want to use it because you are sure you can use it. Leave that to the technology partners, to the suppliers. Focus on what is really the problem you want to solve, okay? Usually, a good way to differentiate that is to compare if what you're saying is something that is the latest thing on the market, or it's something that is going to be stable over time. Like, for example, going between A and B, you can go walking, you can go by bicycle, you can go by train, plane, etc. But still the need is how to get from A to B in a comfortable way, in a fast way, etc., etc. So remember that a need can have multiple solutions. Don't focus on propose what is the technology, but rather what is the essence of the problem that you have. And usually the description of the challenge should not incorporate the solution, okay, the technology you are going to use. That will help you to better conceptualize what is the real challenge that you have. The next slide is sometimes to say, okay, I'm interested in learning. Actually, what I was talking before with Claire, this is a great opportunity for learning by doing, hands-on training, InnoMatch. You don't need to go through the whole process of what is traditional and innovation procurement, where you have different stages and the projects usually take years and involve millions of euros and so on. InnoMatch can be a kind of a head start, hands-on training on this whole innovation procurement concept. Okay, so if you want to start but you don't really know what would be the best need, think about your pain points. Think about like, oh man, this has to be a better way to do this. Okay, this is so boring, so frustrating. I need to do so many clicks, take so much time to complete something that is relatively simple. That's a good starting point. Okay, next slide is, for example, what I was telling before between the need and the solution, rather than stay on what is the software problem, that is, okay, I have to do too many clicks. What is start asking why. There is this 5 whys rule, which basically is, okay, why do I need to do so many clicks? And then answering again to the answer to that, asking again, why? And you will get to the core of the problem. And that's the root cause that you really want to solve, okay? Instead of keeping in the surface, because otherwise it will appear somewhere else. In the next slide, if you're like the typical organization, you will have like thousands of unmet needs, thousands of challenges. So focus on something that is worthy, okay? That it will help really either to have more impact, value, savings. You are going to spend time, effort, money. So better choose something that has really the probability to stay and deliver as much valuable as possible, okay? And also it's a good approach to contact other members of your community and ask them, what do you think about this problem? Do you think it's worth it? Do you think it will have traction? So that's a good start also to see if you have several needs, which one to focus on first. In the next clue, having said that, that it should be an impactful need and something that really is worthy, remember that InnoMatch has only 60,000 euros for the piloting, okay? So if you ask for a very big problem, or you have that in mind, probably it will not fit here. Now, that means that it's not necessary that you forget about it, okay? You can get if it is like a big problem that you can split in different pieces, you can just choose the core piece or the most relevant piece or the best starting piece and then apply for InnoMatch with that. And then following an onion approach, you can grow it as long as you know that the critical part can be solvable, okay? Another option is that if you have that challenge and it's big, you can also talk with us and maybe we can redirect you to other programs, other sources of funding. Actually, one of the things that we say is that there is much more money for innovation that, for example, we are very close to the healthcare space, to the healthcare organizations. But you can always take into advantage of that innovation money for example, for small and medium enterprises and connect your challenge with them. So they apply and you benefit also from the funding that they are eligible and you are not. Again, I don't want to get into the details, but if you find yourself that you have a big challenge that doesn't fit into InnoMatch, talk to us and we can direct you to other ways of funding and collaborating with externals. In the next clue, as you saw before, we are asking for 40% of the mark of the score for your application to be commitment, okay? Why we do that? Again, in our experience, it's relatively easy to start the process just by, I don't know, if you are the promoter within your organization, but the problem is what happens afterwards, okay? In our experience, the majority of the pilots work. They are successful, but then the majority of them go to the valley of death. To avoid that they are not uptaking, one of the critical things is to get commitment from management for decision makers at the beginning of the process. So you find yourself that your management is not willing to sign the commitment letter, okay, which having said that is not as strong as it looks, then question yourself if it's worth it, because there is a huge opportunity cost that you devote time, and not only time, it's also the passion that you put, all the hope that you create during the process to see that something works, and then it's not incorporated into the daily life. It can be very, very frustrating and kills the culture of innovation that you are starting to promote in your organization. So if you see that it doesn't have attraction, it doesn't have commitment in your decision makers, either choose another one or try to get that commitment from the beginning, so all your effort pays off at the end of the process. In the last clue, as I was saying before, 60K is not too much, but really one of the things that we believe that InnoMatch can provide you is capacity building, okay? It's learning how to identify the need, shape the need, I call it the polish the need, starting from a diamond that is a raw diamond into a shiny diamond. You need to iterate and to connect with other people in the organization, for example, IT, legal, procurement. You need to connect with these guys in order to do something that is really meaningful, and then connect with the solution side, interact with them, evaluate the solution. All these steps require best practices, learnings, insights, so it can be as smooth as possible. So by having a small pilot that you can play around with, it is a great learning opportunity, and actually likely a low-hanging fruit, that all the learning that you get during that process, it can be applied for future bigger endeavors, okay? So think this more as a capacity building opportunity, rather than that you are going to change the whole organization. That is not going to happen, okay? But you are going to learn so many things during this process that you will be in a much better position for the next project and the next unmet need that is truly is going to have a much bigger value to your organization, a much bigger impact. And in the last clue, what we are going to encourage is that do it. You have very little to choose to lose. Okay, so see all the benefits that we have been talking. Especially for me, what is critical is that this could be, you haven't done it before. This could be this could be the first step for you into a journey of getting through innovation your problem solve, increasing your competitiveness, delivering more value to your end users, to your personnel, saving, for example, cost to your organization. So if you, when in doubt, just do it. Have very little to lose and a lot of things to gain. Okay, this is a journey that, okay, it looks maybe from the outside, it has different things we are used to, but by doing it, you will learn a lot, hopefully for other stuff, not necessarily innovation procurement. So the next slide is just basically the summary of everything we have done. Okay, the difference between need and solution. Start by, for example, if you don't know where to start, identify what are the pain points, go to the root cause, ask 5 times why, look for impactful, look for impact. Okay, choose the ones that will have more impact. If you have several, then pick the one that has fits better with the InnoMatch program. Ask for commitment from the decision makers. This may take more time at the beginning, but you don't want to spend a lot of time and effort in something that is going to go to the valley of death. Okay, so that's why we insist so much on the commitment. Do it for the learning, not so much for the problem you are going to solve. That's the true value. And we truly encourage you to give it a try. In the next slide, we are going to give you an example. For example, one of the challenges that we have supported in the past. We actually, this is a project that has been successful in our from our side because found a successful solution during the co-creation, and it has had a follow-up. Okay, it had a minor contract afterwards, a bigger contract afterwards, and now it's been evaluated and implemented in a healthcare organization. Okay, so what they wanted to do is to increase here at the beginning, the EPITIC project, they wanted to improve the communication between patient and doctor for epileptic patients, okay? And they wanted to have a more convenient communication because what happened is that the doctors usually don't know what happens after the patient leaves the room, right? So they schedule meetings every 6 months for people that maybe they don't need it. So they need to they spend the morning there and they have to leave work for not really true value, while other people need it more frequent, shorter periods of between meeting and meeting, but they didn't know. So having that communication will help you optimize the timing for each particular patient. In the next slide, we can see that, as I told you before, we will be sharing this presentation with you with the links, but we have some resources where we have identified different challenges with a longer description, with more details, with case studies, methodologies, platform projects. We have more than 400 resources. And in case you have need, you want to learn more about this innovation procurement, you can get here and filter. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have different filters by language, by the type of resource, by the different projects that have been created. So you can get down to what you really need, okay? We will be sharing the link afterwards. And we have one for InnoMatch. Sorry, I forgot to say. We have a specifically one for the InnoMatch. And now I think we have a webinar. Elena, I don't know if you want to share this information.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jorge. So before we jump into the Q&A, just to mention that after this webinar, we already have the registration open for the next one in the series, that it will be about what to expect and how to manage the collaboration with innovation suppliers. The agenda will be launched very soon, but if it already sounds like a nice idea to you, we encourage you to register. My colleagues will enter the registration link in the chat. And just to mention that in addition to these short pills of tips and examples, during this webinar, there will be also a matchmaking session. This is for buyers that want to apply to Open Call 1. That is the one that needs to be in pairs of buyers and EIC awardees, but don't know, buyers who have an unmet need, but don't know with whom, with which EIC awardee they could partner with. So in this session, you will have the opportunity as a buyer to pitch your unmet need so that you can find a suitable candidate to apply with in Open Call 1. If you are interested, let us know and we will arrange with you the way to participate. Okay. So now let's come back to the questions. I see there are already some questions in the chat and in the Q&A box. So we had the comment of starting with support, especially when it's the first time that you go through the process. So here we've had the successful example from Claire that we hope it can inspire you and encourage you to take the advantage of these European programs that are already available. And then the second question that we have is, I think it's addressed to Cristina. Do we have to have a partner already, a solver, a supplier, if we apply for Open Call 1? Cristina, would you like to reply to this one?
Of course. Yes, for Open Call 1, which is the joint call between buyers and EIC awardees, indeed, it is created for buyers that already are familiar with an EIC company, which are normally SMEs and startups that are supported by the European Innovation Council. This is the Open Call 1. What we have presented today, it's the individual call. So in case you have no links to an EIC company, you can apply just as a buyer. So this would be Open Call 2. In any case, I think, as Elena mentioned right now, there are matchmaking opportunities. So in case you would like to get this link with an EIC company, you can join the rest of the next webinar that will include a matchmaking activity. And I think later on, we're gonna publish more opportunities like this.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Cristina. Someone else wishes to react to this question? Any other speaker? Well, just to say, as Cristina mentioned, that both open calls have pros and cons. So in the first open call, the one that you need to apply with an EIC, there are more spots. We will fund 33 pilots in total in 2 different waves. This time we are gonna select 20. And then for the second open call, the one that Cristina presented, you have the advantage that you can go for it individually, even if you don't know the EIC awardee. But the spots are only 5, 1 per thematic group that Cristina presented. So here it's up to everybody, right? You need to decide, but just so that you have all the cards on the table. Okay. I see another question. Is this webinar recorded and will we receive the recording to watch it back? Yes, indeed, it was being recorded. We will send both the recording and the slides so that you can take it later on. Okay, then I have all the questions in the chat. One is addressed to Cristina. When we will know if we have been selected when it comes to the timeline.
So I think the eligibility check will be done around May, just after the open call closes. So then the orientative timeline for this would be around late May or start of June. But yeah, the results will be communicated, and then the process of refining the unmet need, as we were explaining before, will start quite immediately. So around June and until September of this year.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Cristina. Then we have another question when it comes to the open call. As an organization wishing to participate in innovation procurement as solvers, where should we start from? Would you like to answer also this one?
Can you repeat the question, please?
As an organization wishing to participate in innovation procurement as solvers, as suppliers, I guess they are EIC companies, where should we start from?
In the case of the open calls, I think they can focus maybe on the open call 1 in this case, which would be for EIC overseas together with public buyers. Where to start with? Probably with links with buyers that they already have, and unmet needs that this buyer has already identified and for which this company can be the correct supplier, basically. So it would be about starting to have these conversations with the buyers probably, and then they could potentially think about applying together to this open call. But I don't know.
Cristina, if I may, I would like to extend your answer. Is first of all, is as Cristina was saying, is are you eligible or not? If you have any questions, please contact us, and we will be happy to support you. Me personally, if you're an EIC and you're interested, what I will do, I call them like hot leads. Okay, if you find you have one potential customer and you are truly interested in them getting on board, you basically will have 60,000 euros that you can take out of the price because InnoMatch gives that to you. Or so I will use InnoMatch as a very strategic tool in order to get strategic customers. I would also like to stress that also for the EICs can be something that just to deliver value for customers, because you can see, okay, even if they are not interested, they see you like a potential contributor for funding and for support. So think this is more for the EICs, and also maybe also can be the other way around, right? If you are looking for a strategic collaboration with either a potential customer or either a potential supplier, InnoMatch gives you like a lead start with a lot of support. So do a brainstorming of opportunities and take it from there. Both if you're on the demand side or you are in the supply side.
Excellent. Thank you, Jorge.
If I may add, Elena, maybe we can share in the chat the list of type of companies supported by the EIC. So then we get some more clarity on which applicants or companies are eligible.
Yeah, that's included in the guidelines for applicant. I kindly ask my colleague to enter that in the chat, but you can consult that in the guidelines in section eligibility. Basically, we are talking about EIC Accelerator, EIC Pathfinder, EIC Transition, and some other cases. So have a look, and if you fall within those categories, you will be an eligible EIC. Then just to add on what Jorge was saying, this project, InnoMatch, had an older project called InnoBuyer that it's already in implementation. And there are already some EICs and buyers collaborating together. There, indeed, we could see many EICs applying that had these strategic customers that they want to work with. And InnoBuyer was kind of opening the door for them to actually start the collaboration, because sometimes the buyer is unsure whether the solution will test or not, will work on or not, and they need to test it in advance. But they don't really find the funds to test it, so they leverage the InnoBuyer to do so. And we hope that InnoMatch can be the same as an opportunity for the EICs. So we hope we answer your question, but if you have any other follow-up question, please feel free to enter that in the chat.
I think there's another one, right, in the Q&A box.
Exactly, yeah. Can we pre-discuss our ideas with someone of InnoMatch in order to know if we're on the right track? Here, I would say yes. We cannot provide dedicated assistance to create your proposal, but indeed we can help you to understand which is the best way to apply and whether your idea would fit in the program. So I'll send you our contact details so that you can get in touch. Okay. Great. Another question that I have in the chat is for Claire, actually. Is what were the main challenges and what were the main pleasures of your process so far?
I think the main challenges for us was the fact that we really didn't know what steps to take. So as I keep saying, going to Spin for AIC, looking at the webinars gave us a grounding, and then being able to avail of the support at every step of the way. We were able to keep checking in and asking, are we on the right track? Are we on the right track? And I think that's really important when it's your first time to trial something, and I mean, there's your government funding behind it, so you need to be accountable, and you want to make sure you're doing things right and correct and proper. So it's always good to have that support to be able to check in. So that was our main issue, really, just not really understanding what the steps were. And I suppose any examples of innovation partnership procedure were really large projects, and ours we weren't sure that it kind of met that really large kind of, it just wasn't the same. So we weren't sure, are we using the right procedure? Is this where we should be going? So being able to talk to the Spin team just gave us that clarity, and just, I suppose, that bit of comfort, that comfort blanket of you're doing the right thing, and this is the next step. So that would have been our main issue, really.
Thank you very much, Claire. Okay. I see another question. How to become an EIC awardee? There I can get this, and obviously for the panelists, feel free to react if you want to complement my answer. So there are open calls, open opportunities from the European Innovation Council for suppliers of innovation, not only companies, but also other type of organizations. And they provide different support in terms of where you are when it comes to your product roadmap, if it's more ready to market, or if it's more research based, and also based on where you are on your business strategy. And you can check all the opportunities in the EIC webpage. As we were saying before, there are the accelerator, the pathfinder, the in transition. There are different ways to benefit. You need to check the calls and apply to one of them. And then if you are awarded, you will become an EIC. That's it. It sounds simple.
I would like to extend, Elena,
Yeah.
saying that the EIC for companies is probably the best by far program by the European Commission. The problem with that is that it's so good that it's super competitive. So you have to evaluate if and when is the right time to apply for it, because the opportunity cost is huge and the transaction costs are huge. You likely will need to maybe hire a consultant or something. So it's very, very good, but consider the chances that you have. And also consider that there is no better way of funding that through customers rather than by public funding. So having said that, we invite you to have a look to the EIC webpage and see, depending on the maturity of your technology, you can apply one or not, or there are different types. Okay, choose what is best, and again, think if you are mature enough and ready to apply for them, because it's very, very competitive program.
Excellent. Thank you, Jorge.
I would like to say, is there any other, Elena? Any other?
No, there are no any further questions. So if you would like to
I would
remark.
like to say two things. One is that don't blame us, the consortium, for that only giving money to the EICs. Those are not our rules. Is there someone from the European Commission in the? Well, you know who is the guilty person then. So don't blame us, but still think that it's an opportunity for capacity building, that because you can have this kind of connection with an European project, it will be easier to sell during the the pilot in the co-creation that things have to move on, okay? And it's also a good way to test about the commitment of your decision makers, okay? We have been insisting a lot about commitment to deploy, to commitment to uptake. We truly encourage you to think always in those terms. You don't want to get frustrated that after doing all the work and have success, nothing happens afterwards. So that's one of the values that we can provide in InnoMatch. We have our own kind of methodology. We call adoption touch points, which is basically the secret is to anticipate the success and getting everybody aligned, including the budget and so on. That also, if I may, Claire, that also may impact you at some point of time. And we will be happy to talk about what we have learned during that time. Okay, but just again, as the last tip is just do it. We are not sponsored by Nike, but still we encourage you to apply for InnoMatch because we truly believe it's worth it.
Thank you very much, Jorge, for that final remark. We have reached the end of the session. If there are more questions, we are available by email. You can check in the chat InnoMatch email address. There's also my personal email address if you want to get in touch. If you're interested in the upcoming webinars, please register. We will be happy to have you again. And obviously, we remain at your disposal for any question. Thank you so much, and have a nice day.
Bye.
Thank you.